Listeners, as I said to you before, we actually have the Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre representative in here this morning in studio, and that's Chris, and I'd like to welcome Chris to the microphone. Good morning, Chris, and thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you've got some pretty interesting things happening in that Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre, so I'm going to let you have a little talk about that first, and then we might get on to some questions. Hey, you're happy with that?
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine.
Give us a few little bits about what you're actually up to at this point, please, Chris.
Well, in the Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre, we're actually almost about to move into our new facility. That is at Launton, very close to the new A.J. Wiley Bridge.
Oh, good.
We run a very strong volunteering program there. We have around about 200 volunteers in different departments. We have a free legal service. We have family support programs. We have volunteers that work with people who have needs in the community, and we work with other community agencies to meet those needs. We have a no-interest loan scheme.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Chris, you mentioned that to me. Yeah, keep going on. We might talk a little bit more about that no-interest scheme.
We have a Kids Friends mentoring program, have counselling support, and also run a variety of courses as well, parenting support groups, support for kids going through family breakdown and a transition in the family unit. So we run quite a variety of services at the Neighbourhood Centre to support our local community.
Fabulous, fabulous. Now, you've got an e-newsletter, so we'll talk a bit about that, but also you've got some wonderful links here that people can go to in the privacy of their own home and find out a lot more about your centre.
That's right. The Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre has its own webpage, but we've also got a Facebook page that people can join and keep updated on a daily basis about all the activities at the Neighbourhood Centre that are going on.
Right, right. And I'm thinking that we might even have a podcast of today's session that can go into your e-newsletter as well.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
We could make that available on our Facebook page and link to that so people can be updated with the things that we do to promote community work in the local area.
Great, and they can likewise do that at their leisure as well. Yeah. Chris, now you were wonderful enough to give me some questions in regards to what we would talk about today, and number one, which I think is just fantastic, is what sort of issues do men face in the community? And this is coming from a man that knows. So what sort of issues do they face?
Well, part of my role at the Neighbourhood Centre is some development work for a local consortium of support services around the Moreton Bay region, specifically to do with developing men and their family relationships. So we did a study a few years ago, and we found that there were quite a few men in the community experiencing a lot of isolation and loneliness, and they found it really difficult to engage and connect with others in their community, and even really difficult to engage with their own family. We found low numbers of men volunteering in specifically support organisations. And that men often waited for a crisis before seeking help. And even when they did want to seek help, they found it really difficult to find support services in the local area that could help them from a male perspective. I think there's only one support organisation in the entire Moreton Bay region that's specifically catered towards men, and that's the Men's Information and Support Association at Strathpine.
You've got the men's sheds now that are springing up, which are another wonderful thing, is that?
Yeah, that's right, and that's giving a lot of men, particularly older men, a greater sense of connectedness and that sense of community and support as well. But there's a lot of particularly young fathers out there, and particularly men who are going through separation, which is a particularly difficult time for men that really need extra support.
Chris, with this, you've got this Engaging Men in Moreton Bay. That's a project that you're working on right now, aren't you?
Yeah, we're working on that project up until June, actually. And in recognising all of these needs of men in our community, we were thinking of ways in which we might be able to be part of the solution for that. And in having a look at support organisations, we saw that there were very low numbers of men who volunteered in helping families and helping individuals and helping others in the community. Men often traditionally just volunteer in roles like sports and footy clubs and management committees and handyman work, but they don't often work with families. So what we're concentrating on in the next couple of months is recruiting men to be volunteers in support services, because we really believe that men have really strong skills in that area. We need to recognise that fathers in particular have great fatherhood skills. They can work with children, they can work with young people, they can work with mums and with dads in order to enhance families and support families in our community. So we're going to have a recruitment drive around a variety of support services in the Moreton Bay region, specifically for men. We'll train them up, concentrating on all the strengths that they have as fathers and grandfathers and all the special skills that they bring. And we're also going to produce a short promotional video full of men talking about their experiences in volunteering in community services and support services, in order to change that stereotype, because there is a little bit of a stereotype out there that it's really only mothers that support families in support services, and we want to recognise the strengths that fathers can bring, and bring a diversity to the support that we can offer.
Yeah, that sounds good. And just yourself, you know that when you're out there helping others, Chris, any of problems that you might have are fairly negligible, aren't they? You know, it takes that pressure away from yourself when you're giving to others.
Yeah, and I think there's also certain experiences that we go through in life that we can not only learn from ourselves, but also take from and also assist others in their difficult experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I think we've almost covered on the importance of men being involved in community organisations. Chris, have you got anything other to add further to that?
Well, I think it's really important that men are involved in families and in children's lives, and I think by getting more men involved in volunteering in this area, it can enhance that. It's important because the research says that if fathers and men are involved in children's lives, it reduces the risk of early sexual activity and teenage pregnancy in girls, helps boys avoid antisocial behaviour. It helps kids improve their social confidence and increases their self-esteem. There's even research that says that men involved in their daughters' lives can delay the onset of puberty, which is an amazing study that's been done.
Yeah.
So men are increasingly involved in their children's lives.
Yep.
And so we need to see more men involved in community services in order to support men in that role, in that increased involvement in their children's lives.
Yeah, okay, that all sounds good. And, you know, to do a little bit of community service doesn't only help you, it helps doesn't only help the people you're trying to help, but it helps you and your family as well, Chris.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
They're all good things. Well, you know, some of the benefits for blokes and their families. Can you just highlight just a couple? You did just then, of course.
Well, men will feel less isolated and more connected with their community if they're involved in volunteering and supporting others.
Yeah.
I think community services will have a greater diversity in what they have to offer. They'll be able to support fathers, particularly fathers that are increasingly, after separation, having more care of their children. And we're finding now that the trends are showing that in a third of all separation, fathers will have 50% or more custody of their children. And there's an increasing number of particularly single fathers out there looking after their children. So
and Chris, do you find that this is younger men or across the whole spectrum?
I would say between that 30 to 40-year-old age bracket.
Yeah. Not younger than that? I thought it might have been younger than that. No?
I think probably around the age of 30, I think particularly in separations that are happening, then there's kids involved in that. And so I think after separation, fathers are taking on a lot more of the responsibility to care for their kids.
So they do need to to get out and amongst the community and get the feel from everyone.
Yeah. So I think men involved can support other men. Men helping men.
Yep.
Fatherhood will be recognised and celebrated as well, and I think that's something that's really important because we often celebrate mothers' involvement in their kids' lives, and that's a really good thing.
Absolutely.
But we should also celebrate the fathering skills and fatherhood and the role that fathers can bring to their children's lives. And children will have a male role model, and I think this will start to counteract some of the vacuum in some of our children's lives, and that will have flow-on benefits for our society in decreasing antisocial behaviour and other flow-on effects from not having a male role model around.
Yeah, and you need that. It's there to the whole time, isn't it? It needs to be. What's the word I'm looking for, Chris? You just need to keep reaffirming that beautiful male.
That's right. Yeah. Recognising the skills and the strengths that men bring to supporting families.
Pretty incredible, and we don't do too well without them, do we? No.
Yeah.
Chris, in regards to these websites, we might just read them out for anyone. And look, they may not recall it today, but guess what? Somewhere down the road, they go, yeah, I heard about something like that, and be able to pop onto the website and have a little bit more of a look around them. So we'll mention that. There is the www, of course, all the W's, and it's Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre, and that's prnc.org.au/community/men-matter. So it's just letting you know that in the community, men do matter, and they matter a huge amount. So that is just one of the websites you can go on to. Otherwise, you could go onto the volunteering page if you chose to do that. And again, it's all of the W's. And I can remember this better by saying Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre, but it's prnc.org.au/volunteering. So if you're interested in anything that you've heard Chris say, do that, or better still, front up. Hey, front up.
That's right, and also there's a range of other neighbourhood centres that you can also volunteer at.
Yeah.
Bribie Island Neighbourhood Centre, Deception Bay Neighbourhood Centre, Regional Community Association at Redcliffe. All of those places take volunteers involved in family support.
Now, Chris, how would I get one of your e-newsletters? How would I be able to get one of those?
The best way would be to log on to our website.
Okay, and that's the first website I read out, the community /men matter.
Yes. Yep. Well, if you just log on to www.prnc.org.au,
all right,
you can have a look around our website, and there'll be a variety of things that you can have a look at there.
Okay, because I've gone on a little bit long there, so just remember prnc.org, and that'll take you there. I just said just before we were hoping to have this podcast so that it will go on to the website and you can listen to some of the things again that Chris has given you. Chris, just give me the address again there at Petrie.
The physical address at Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre is 730 Gympie Road at Launton.
Okay, 730 Gympie Road, Launton, not Petrie, beg your pardon, Launton. When you said the bridge, I had you at Petrie almost. But anyway, and just last but not least, just a quick one on this interest-free scheme, please, Chris.
Right. People who are on low incomes can get a loan from us up to $1,200 that's completely free of any interest or any fees, and they can use that loan to buy an essential item like a fridge or a washing machine or car repairs.
Okay.
The scheme is run in partnership with Good Shepherd Microfinance, which are based in Victoria, and they have Nils outlets all over Australia.
Yeah.
The Regional Community Association at Redcliffe offer a no-interest loan scheme. There's a variety of no-interest loan schemes around the Caboolture area, and also we offer the no-interest loan scheme at the Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre.
Lovely. All right, so that's something else to remember, people, if you need that essential piece of equipment that has broken down or you don't yet have, that's worth a thought because that's a great scheme. Chris?
That's right. People, when they get into trouble, they often fall into the trap of going to payday lenders, which have very high interest rates, up to 48%.
Yeah.
And we really want to make loans available to people
Yep.
that are completely free of interest for the essentials that they need in life.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've covered a fair bit there this morning, Chris, and I thank you for coming into the studio, and I look forward to talking to you again in regards to this. Let's hope we can make this bigger and more beautiful, hey?
Thank you for inviting me.
You're more than welcome. And listeners, that was Chris from the Pine Rivers Neighbourhood Centre.